Welcome back to the show, everybody. I've got a question for you. Will Brics Coalition use XRP? And can XRP save the world economy from collapse? Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook for exclusive content. Right now, we're at $1,052,000,000,000. Give CoinPetrica a follow and download that app. Bitcoin, 21,000, slightly over. Ethereum, 1,500 plus right now. XRP at the number 7 spot is 33 cents, ladies and gentlemen. Take a look at this. I Trust Capital. The only thing better than buying cryptocurrency is buying tax-free crypto with no monthly fees, 401k IRA rollovers, Roth tax advantages, and now staking has arrived and you're invited. Click the link underneath the video, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and get started here. It is the Ethereum merge, and Bull Deep tells us right here. I told you all the other day, the Ethereum merge is technically a hard fork to a new chain. The miners that support proof of work will continue to mine the legacy chain. This is all on the retweet here of the AMB Crypto is Ethereum fork, Ethereum proof of work up in line after the merge. And basically here we see a couple people after this that say, yeah, the Ethereum is already a hard fork of ETH Classic. And we see here it's going to be a third fork as well. So that's how people are seeing this merge, ladies and gentlemen. Be prepared, be ready, know what you hold. I have seen many experts in this space tell us that the merge is not going to reduce the gas fees of the network. I know layer 2 solutions or layer 2 projects have solutions on the Ethereum network, but be aware of that. So take a look at this here. Tokenized assets are expected to expand into $16 trillion business opportunity by 2030, making up 10% of global GDP by the end of this decade in just 8 short years, ladies and gentlemen, 7.5, let's call it. That is remarkable. And I tell you, it's true. Everything is going to be tokenized, isn't it? So the number is even much greater than that because everything will be tokenized. That's where this world is going. And I'll tell you where else this world is going. It's going to Kava Network. Curve rewards go live on Kava in 7 days. Kava is the leader in the Cosmos ecosystem when it comes to total value locked up. Well over 300 million in smart contracts. They are getting it done. Give them a like and a follow, ladies and gentlemen. I got a link for them underneath the video as well. Fidelity is considering a plan to let its individuals' brokerage customers trade Bitcoin, according to the Wall Street Journal. Now, we're not talking about a corner store here. We're talking about Fidelity opening the doors to 34.4 million individual brokerage accounts, mine being one of them. In this down market, you see where we're going here, right? Oh, wait till you see where we're about to go with this video here. This is Ripple and the Senior VP of Payments, Sony Joseph, right here. I just want to highlight very quickly here, the exchanges have dominated the crypto service offering, but banks have the opportunity to meet customer demand for crypto by integrating these capabilities into their products. And that is the truth, and we know that. And we know here are 3 areas that are highlighted here. And it says currently banks and exchanges each own a separate type of customer relationship. Bank owns fiat needs and exchanges fulfill crypto wants. 3 things will blur this line. Regulators are gradually starting to open up to crypto, allowing both banks and exchanges with the right set of licenses to offer money movement and management services. As more central banks start to experiment with CBDCs and stablecoins become more pervasive, digital representation of fiat will necessitate the need for crypto rails. This is why I have said that stablecoin legislation in the U.S. is just as important as the Telecommunications Act in 1996 was to the internet. And lastly, but more importantly, users are starting to see both fiat and crypto as similar offerings when it comes to the storage and movement of value. Given the early entry into crypto, exchanges are better positioned to tap into these trends to become the banking services of the future and capture a bigger share of the user's financial transactions. Banks will need to work hard to navigate these changes given the legacy processes and infrastructure they rely on. Now, I'm going to add my part into this where I tell you that's why the market's so suppressed. And that's why I personally believe Gary Gensler, former Goldman Sachs official, is in there to do the bidding in regulatory capture fashion. It would appear to me, in service of the banks, to press on this market so hard that in order to get up off the floor, you're going to have to succumb to probably some sort of buyout if you just don't collapse first. And guess who's going to be there to buy it for pennies on the dollar? The banks. This is an example of the kind of work that is being done by Ripple, and I think it's important to note, and we have an important question to ask because we got some information about Brics coalition, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, and many other countries are considering joining Brics coalition as well, which would create a fractionalized payment system and payment zones around the world. If that does come to fruition, and it appears that it is, we have to ask ourselves, what will this new structure of international cross-border payments look like, and how will they rectify it? But yesterday, we talked about the impact of Ripple and India's relationship and about how it may very well be that in the coming near term, we find out that CBDC from India is on the XRP ledger. And it may very well be we find out that it isn't. But there's quite a bit of evidence that suggests we should look out for that news to happen. If it doesn't, we'll certainly report on it as well. But listen to this being said here.
We started looking into solutions in the market. We're looking for a future-proof technological solution. And at the top of these solutions, we found Ripple to manage our, or to address all our strategic asks, which is basically a fast, cheap, transparent, and safe transaction.
As a receiving bank in India, I mean, we are one of those players who are extremely focused as far as cross-border payments is concerned, and remittances is a big opportunity for India in the overall scheme of things, with the last World Bank report having talked about almost 79 billion coming into the country in 2018. When we first met Mr. Rao from Ripple, it happened at one of the large global networking events. We realized that it's something which is very different and very unique, and what the world had not seen all this while, and sort of lashed onto the opportunity, got discussing, and trying to figure out what is it that we could do.
During our search for a partner on Ripple, we partnered with Indocent for many, many reasons. We've gone through a lot of selection criteria and due diligence, and we started to collectively start this journey together. The fact that you can see where a transaction is happening, so it tells you that it left the organization, it's on the way to be received to the other client and then received by other client. So we'll have to build a customer experience around that to make sure that the customer feels so comfortable when using it.
It has been one of the most pleasant experiences in terms of going live with a new partner. See, I've been in this business for almost 15 years now, and normally one were to do a bilateral tie-up with a counterparty on the other side, it could take you months. I mean, the legal agreements, time-consuming, talks between technology teams, coming to understanding and agreement. It can take ages, and at times it can be very, very frustrating. And as Kava rightly said, I think this was one of those integrations that perhaps was up and running in a span of about 1.5 months.
1.5 months. That's how quickly you can be integrated with Ripple software and certainly the solution XRP. This is a reminder of something we covered back here in early September, and I need to show it again to set the tone of what we're looking at here. You know, it isn't just about whether we all understand if XRP could be used for payments. I think broadly we all understand that. The question is what classification does it need to be? What designation is placed upon XRP in order for it to be a said payment token, a utility token? Because you're going to hear Mike Blandina right here, Managing Director of Head of Wholesale Payment Technology at JP Morgan, throw Bitcoin and Ethereum under the bus, and exactly why.
very clearly state today, this probably wasn't true a year ago, but I think Bitcoin and Ethereum have failed to be a payment method. I think they have succeeded in being a commodity, and certainly the U.S. government has deemed those to be commodities at this point. So the downside to that is you don't want to pay taxes on selling, a piece of your Bitcoin to buy a cup of coffee, right?
And that's exactly right. So you're looking at commodities, and what he's admitting there in that comment is he is basically admitting that a commodity designation doesn't work for payments. That's what he's explaining to all of us. Now listen to this clip here about what Brad Garlinghouse says back in the day about who's in his office.
When we talk about Jamie Dimon, we first have to recognize where he sits. He sits at the top of the global financial infrastructure. There are a few banks, of which JPM is certainly one, that make billions and billions of dollars of profit by virtue of that perch. 99.9% of banks don't make money in this ecosystem in terms of cross-border payments. Jamie Dimon makes a technical term of a shit ton of money by sitting there. So when I hear Jamie Dimon saying it's a fraud, I think to myself, well, of course he's going to say that. He's talking. I mean, and by the way, there's also people who conspiratorially, he's trying to talk down the price of Bitcoin so JPM can buy it. Like the idea that JP Morgan isn't actively working in the blockchain and Bitcoin space is not true. Frankly, I don't mind sharing. There are about 15 senior JP Morgan people at Ripple's offices this afternoon. Now, unless JP Morgan's going to fire them.
Does JP Dimon know that?
Apparently not. Anyway, so look, that's my thought on the whole JP Dimon thing. I do think there are people who are going to say this is, in the same manner, a very smart investor said to me, in 1997, the whole West Coast was long Amazon and the whole East Coast was shorting Amazon. We saw how that worked out. And his point was basically, look, the West Coast is obviously bullish, and there's some that are very cynical about these things, and we'll see how it works out. On the risk factor, just very briefly, because I don't want to go on too long, but I think what we have to remind ourselves is this has to come back to utility. What problem is the digital asset solving?
That's it right there. It comes back to utility. What problem is the digital asset solving, right? So now let's look at this, because this brings us to Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and shout out to Daniela Cambone. I've had the pleasure to be on Stansberry Research. It's a wonderful show. And I tell you, I want you to hear what he's saying now about Brics Coalition and the movement and using gold.
Now, Russia is looking to go on to its own gold standard. I think that speaks volumes. Any thoughts to that, Robert?
Yes, well, Andy Schectman talks a lot about that. He talks about the BRICS. The BRICS nations are Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. And he talks about how the Belt and Road project now is going to affect 90% of the world's population, and they'll all be on the CBDC yuan. They'll be going into Chinese crypto, not American. So the US dollar, according to this guy Andy Schectman, is toast. And that's why it's Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, they're going to take over the world with their own gold standard.
Now here's the deal. The last time somebody tried to do that was Gaddafi, and he's not with us anymore. So we'll see how that's going to shake out. But I tell you, in light of what his comments are, I do believe gold will be used, as it has been in the past, to shore up a new system. And I'm not suggesting that government fiat dollars are going to go away, but I believe they yet again will be backed by gold. I do believe gold will have to be repriced in order to bring that to fruition. And I also believe there will need to be a digital asset that can complement this system in order to help move that value around the world instantly for settlement. This is a little quick clip of video that you could see here, and it basically shows the holdings of the different countries of gold. And if you obviously get here towards the end of it, as it rounds the corner here, you can see where the United States is in that tally. I don't think that the United States, although they are really behind the eight ball here, I believe that there are a few things waiting in the wings that can slingshot the United States to the front of the line. One of which is the USD coin, which can become an immediate retail-facing US digital dollar. The second thing I believe is this court case between the SEC and Ripple over XRP. A positive outcome with clarity for that asset can slingshot to the front of the line XRP to be the leader in the crypto space with absolute clarity. The question remains is what will that clarity be if it is to work as a bridge asset between a ever-expanding Brics coalition, which now could be expanding to Argentina and soon Iran, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Turkey. And let's not forget, Saudi Arabia has an agreement to use the US dollar as the petrodollar, which all oil is purchased in dollars. If they join Brics and that goes away, we will have to have a response, and it cannot be from behind a curtain. And I believe XRP can play an enormous role in helping to insulate whatever decision is made from a Brics coalition or others around the world in that movement. Now, looking at this, there's more evidence here that Brics and Russia are moving forward. Russia is talking to several friendly countries about launching clearing platforms for cross-border payments and settlement in stablecoins. Remember I said gold stablecoins were coming, says Gold Telegraph? Stablecoins can be pegged to some generally recognized instrument, for example, gold, the value of which is clear and appreciable for all parties involved. You know, this is the idea of whether it's a CBDC or whether it's a stablecoin. How do we get here? How do you move this value in a trusted fashion? Well, I think it all comes back to understanding what Mike Blandina said as head of wholesale payments from JP Morgan. It can't be Bitcoin and Ethereum because they failed as a payment method because they're commodities. And if commodities don't work, that means gold can work as a value support, but it won't work to move the value unless you can figure out something to bridge it all to move it. And I believe personally that can be XRP. It's not financial advice, but that's what I believe. And the question that really remains, if Bitcoin and Ethereum fail because they're commodities, then what is XRP? A stable coin? Or what we're really talking about is finding out whether the Reeves test is as important as I believe it to be when something is a note. Hopefully, in just days away, 6 days away, we will find out whatever's not redacted in the summary judgment filings of those motions, and that evidence will reveal, hopefully, more information on this particular point of discussion. Yesterday, I played a great clip here out of the interview from Tony and Chris Giancarlo. If you haven't seen it, go watch the whole thing. It's fantastic. Great job, Tony. Question I have is very similar to the one I'm asking today. And Chris, you haven't had a chance to answer it, or you're just not able to. But we'd love to hear from you. Understanding the digital dollar project is tech neutral. How does the digital dollar project, and by the way, I have DPP, it should have been DDP, excuse me. How does the digital dollar project view native assets like XRP and Algo on those protocols? Are they cryptos, stablecoins, or commodities? What designation provides the best function, in your view, to support the digital dollar project? That's the question we need to know right now. And that's where we are on this day. Not financial advice from me or anyone else, but 6 days from now, I'm hoping we can get some answers. I'll catch all of you on the next one.